Hey everyone, you're here with the Vigilant Christian Mario, and you're here for another edition of New World Order Exposed. In today's video, I wanted to share this video that I found on Red Pill Revolution's YouTube channel called ISIS Exposed 100% as CIA Operation. The next Bin Laden is here, don't be fooled. I felt like it was very important to share this information in my New World Order Exposed series because in the past we've been fooled by the New World Order Illuminati with things like Al-Qaeda. Now, Al-Qaeda was actually created by the CIA, was CIA funded, owned, and operated. And again, what we're going to have now is ISIS is going to act as another front for the CIA, and they're going to probably use it to blame the next false flag attack on. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, if that just went over your head, what I'll do is in the description section you can find my playlist for the New World Order Exposed. The New World Order is a real thing that is happening. It is no longer a conspiracy theory. Those people who are putting it in place are even speaking out that they're doing it. They're public about their plans and desires to bring about a New World Order. So what I would just advise you to do is definitely check this playlist out, get educated on the various topics of the New World Order. So what we're going to do here is what I'm going to do is just play the video and I'm going to comment and give you my feedback on top of Red Pill. So let's get into it.
Growing concern that the terror tirade in Iraq will soon be coming here to the United States.
The seeds of 9/11s are being planted all over Iraq and Syria. You don't have to believe me. This is what they're telling you they're going to do.
Now, I want you to notice something here. It says on the screen, terror talk, because the news channel, that's what they're there to do. Feed terror, 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 be scared. There's a terrorist. You need more security. You need to give up more of your freedoms because there's a terrorist in your garbage and you're going to come out at night and there's a ISIS terrorist and he's going to come and he's going to steal your child. Give us your rights. No, okay? It's a fear tactic. So they pump the public so full of fear that the public just hands over all their rights and their freedoms. And that's what's happening with these false flag operations. That's the point of them. So pay particular attention to the words that you're going to see being put on your screen. They are the psychological masters, okay, when it comes to psychological warfare. They know our minds, the ins and out of how to program us. So they know how to program us. They're flashing the word terror and they're saying scary things in order to scare people who wouldn't know any better.
I am concerned, and I think all Americans should be concerned.
I guarantee you this is a problem that we will have to face. And we're either going to face it in New York City or we're going to face it here.
Well, that is pretty scary. With more on the threat, Peter Johnson Jr. joins us live.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. And I think all we have to do is look at the words of Colonel Kenneth King, who's the former commander at Camp Bucca prison in Iraq. Let's see his experience. And that's the fear coming to a city, including New York, as a result of what they're doing. It's important to understand who al-Baghdadi is. He's got a PhD in Islamic studies from Baghdad University.
So now they're going to present their boogeyman, their justifications for why the American public should be fearful of this individual. They do this all the time. It's just another boogeyman coming to the scene, just like Osama bin Laden in the past. He was, again, CIA funded, a CIA agent at some point. This is just insane what's going on.
He's considered one of the most brutal leaders in the world now. His nickname is the Invisible Sheik. He was detained at Camp Bucca, as you know, and then pushed out of Al-Qaeda in 2013. And now we know that there's a $10 million bounty for his death.
He was pushed out of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda was a CIA-funded operation. It was probably a front organization. It probably doesn't even exist. It's just really sad how duped the public is.
Or capture, eerily similar and perceived by many of the Al-Qaeda and former Al-Qaeda forces, including the people at ISIS, as the logical successor to Osama bin Laden.
Oh no, the next Osama bin Laden's here. Be scared, America. Fear, 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 fear.
And a lot of foreign policy experts are saying that the similarities are too eerie and too disturbing in terms of the way that Afghanistan was going in the 1990s to the way that Iraq is now proceeding in 2014. We only have to look at the radio address that al-Baghdadi gave last January. This is disturbing. He said, "Our last message is to the Americans. Soon we will be in direct confrontation, and the sons of Islam have prepared for such a day. So watch, for we are with you watching."
It's all scary about this. So that's the guy who's running ISIS right now.
This
is the same guy we had in prison, and now we have let him loose.
And released, and allegedly made a threat at the time that he left Camp Bucca. Then we need to be on the defensive and the offensive to ensure safety in our cities, to continue.
Did you hear that? We need to be on the defensive and offensive. Look, another reason to go to war. This is what they do every time. It was the same trick that they played when it was the story of the weapons of mass destruction. Oh no, he's got weapons of mass destruction, so we gotta go. He could blow up. Get in there, and it was not even there. It's just a boogeyman. It's just to get us, to persuade us to, oh yeah, we need to have a good offensive strategy and defensive strategy against ISIS, the big boogeyman. Come on, people.
Continuing battle in this war on terror.
We are also learning more about the leader of this terror group, a man described as the new bin Laden, the heir to bin Laden. It turns out he had been in U.S. custody until 2009 over in Iraq, when he was then handed over to the Iraqi government as part of our troop drawdown. And then he was released. Now he has led this effort to create an Islamic caliphate, a nation state ruled by harsh, radical Islamic law and dedicated to killing, quote, non-believers and spreading its power as far as it can. Ken King is the former commander of the prison where that man was held until his release in 2009. Ken, thank you so much for being here. The most disgusting, vile terror group we've seen in recent history.
Well, Jeff, the group's mysterious leader is a man known as Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
And what we have here is actually predictive programming. Will ISIS plan a 9/11 style terror plot against the U.S.? Osama bin Laden was blamed for 9/11. He was a boogeyman. Al-Qaeda was said to be responsible. Al-Qaeda was like ISIS. It's a front. So this is predictive programming. If we do have a false flag attack that happens, it is going to be blamed on ISIS. It's just the path is being paved to see all that play out right in front of our very eyes. So remember, Red Pill, the Truth Movement, people like myself, we told you before this stuff happened. So then when it happens, at least at that point, maybe you can wake up.
He is so elusive that we only have a couple of grainy photographs of him. But al-Baghdadi now commands several thousand men in Iraq and Syria, where he's trying to set up a state based on Islamic law. Al-Baghdadi is so feared that some people have dubbed him the new Osama bin Laden, and the US government has placed a $10 million bounty on his head.
And here we go again. Every few years, the US government props up a new boogeyman for the masses to fear. And so the latest corporate mainstream media, terrorist propaganda, deception is in full swing. And this time it is in the form of a group called ISIS, which of course has deep occult meaning. What we are seeing here is another psychological operation being thrust on the masses to instill fear and tug at the heartstrings of every individual still stuck in the corporate, elite, government-owned mainstream media paradigm. As we have seen in the past, the shadow government, elite, and mainstream media is able to propagate blatant lies and propaganda in order to create a fictional villain and enemy of America in order to achieve their New World Order agenda. Time and time again, over the past decade, the so-called terrorist group known as Al-Qaeda has been proven to be a creation of the CIA and continues to this day to be operated by the same forces. They have proven to be nothing but fictional boogeymen, along with Osama bin Laden, aka CIA asset Tim Osman. Among researchers and activists over the years, it is common knowledge that the bin Laden death was a hoax. The mere fact that the US government has never provided any evidence whatsoever proving his death should speak volumes as to the legitimacy of the Great War on Terror and the idea of terrorists in general, and also 9/11. Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda is a fictional villain in the game of war by deception, and so is this new group called ISIS and its leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. This so-called extremist group will likely be the scapegoat in the future false flag operation that will lead to another war. As we can see, the next 9/11 false flag fear-mongering is in full swing, and the usual culprits pushing this fear campaign is present as well. Republican South Carolina Senator, New World Order puppet and agent of evil, Lindsey Graham, is one of the key figureheads of this operation and agenda. Graham made his first fear circus go around in 2013 when he sounded the alarms of America being nuked. After Obama's State of the Union address, he stated, quote, "The world is literally about to blow up," end quote. He was then used to push the fear propaganda for the Syria operation that was no doubt meant to start World War III. He was a key mouthpiece that pushed for Syria intervention, which was proven by thousands of activists throughout alternative media and social media networks to be a complete lie, which is why intervention was so widely protested, thus why the Syria operation failed. Graham publicly stated, quote, "The United States could suffer a nuclear attack if it did not contain Syria's chemical weapons program," end quote. And, quote, "I believe that if we get Syria wrong within 6 months, and you can quote me on this, there will be a war between Iran and Israel over their nuclear program," end quote. And last but not least, Graham told a crowd in South Carolina, quote, "My fear is that it won't come to America on top of a missile, it'll come in the belly of a ship in the Charleston or New York harbor," end quote. And now he is at it again for their ISIS-Iraq operation. They use the same old puppet mouthpieces because they know the masses will not be paying attention or care.
The next 9/11 is coming from here.
That's a very serious.
That's what they say, and I agree with them.
You think that we could have another?
Oh, I think it's inevitable.
He told me and the soldiers that were around me, "I'll see you in New York."
That is just chilling.
This man, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has his eye on New York and his intentions are evil. I'll see you guys in New York.
Yes, the fear-mongering, mind control, corporate mainstream media, this is how they do it. CNN, of course, terrifying execution images in Iraq, terrifying, terrorists. See, these are the same old words. They use certain trigger words to evoke certain emotions from you regarding, anything relating to terrorism, evoking the 9/11 trauma. And that's what 9/11 was, a trauma-based mind control event. Now they can control the minds of the masses since that event, from that event, moving forward until they reach their goal. They can literally control your mind and play you like a fiddle with every event and every story that they put out using certain words. And this is how mass mind control works, through words that trigger fear. And this is how it's done. As you see here, since ISIS came about, this is what they are doing. Yes, viewer discretion is advised. So you see, these are the tactics of the media and how the government and elite use the media to usher in their New World Order agenda through these false flags, through these psychological operations. And remember, under the 2012 NDAA, and I covered this already, but propaganda, aka lying, aka bullshitting the public, is legal. It is in fact legal under the 2012 NDAA to lie to the masses, to basically execute psychological operations on the masses. And it is legal. There's not a damn thing we can do about it. We can't prosecute the media. We can't do a damn thing because it is legal under 2012 NDAA. And again, remember the occult significance of the word Isis. It's an Egyptian goddess and deity that is a favorite of the occult mysteries and secret societies that run this planet. So it's no coincidence here, this terrorist so-called extremist group called ISIS. And what do we have here? Is it also merely a coincidence, merely coincidental, that there's a contractor, U.S. government, called ISIS? Yes. Oh, coincidence, I'm sure. ISIS provides worldwide security, intelligence, technology, and training to government and private enterprises. Our Washington, D.C. office is located in Ronald Reagan Building. We are dedicated to supporting our national defense and security departments, as well as government contractors and private business, with mission-critical services performed by highly skilled experts in their fields. Interesting. U.S. Armed Forces, U.S. government, and prime contractors on the ground in such strategic environments as the Middle East. See our locations map at the bottom. Multinational forces, Iraq, theater-wide security services. Interesting choice word. Theater-wide. Department of Defense, DOD. Anything else in Iraq? Sure. Iraqi voting legislature. Personal protective services, Iraq Coalition for Peace. Client, contract, supported organization. As you can see, now you know who is really ISIS, who is really behind ISIS and this entire operation.
A steady buildup of particular stories that have a subliminal resonance with September 11, 2001. In other words, these subliminal resonance functions to trigger the trauma of September 11, and people begin to experience levels of fear. They're being re-traumatized in essence. The psychological warfare is usually issued through fear. There's your fear. And usually this fear comes out of a trauma. A traumatic event. Any traumatizing event, media uses this to its advantage. I mean, that's some serious mind control propaganda if you all really think about it. This one event, this traumatizing effect of this event and how it has impacted our subconscious mind is truly profound. In terms of, real quickly here, Osama bin Laden, the way that people were led to believe in this illusion was through computer-generated images. What they did was they gave people computer-generated images that looked like video games, and they said, look, here, SEAL Team 6 went in and assassinated Osama bin Laden. And many people said, oh, wow, that's true, it happened. And officials say, experts say, that's all manipulation too. When they say experts, officials say, someone speaking on anonymity, that's all media manipulation. It was fascinating to me because when I think it was ABC, they were this whole big production about SEAL Team 6, and they carried it on for they kept talking about it like for weeks. And now new reports, we have this new evidence, and we now have this new report, and here is what took place. Here's what we know. That's what they usually say. Here's what we know. And then they start showing these computer generated images, and it looks like a video game. And they show this, these group of SEALs, but it's really just a video game. It's virtual reality, and they go through and they're fighting in this, the first floor. They go up the stairs, they shoot Osama bin Laden's son, and they have it's just all computer-generated images, and they're talking as if this is an actual evidence and proof that this actually took place.
So y'all notice everything we hear around September 11th, since September 11, 2001, we started to hear stories about terrorism. Nothing ever happens though, right? We've heard a new terror plot from Al-Qaeda. We heard about this from the treasure trove of information that we got from Osama bin Laden. Y'all remember that? That's foolishness. We got a treasure trove of information, and we have an idea that there's going to be a terror attack. And it's been going on for the last 11 years. Does anything ever happen? No. Why issue that programming then? That's the question. It's just programming. It's triggering the trauma of September 11, 2001. So this date is important because it ties Osama bin Laden to September 11. When people say September 11, or when they say Osama bin Laden, there's a subliminal association that's made between the two. Because Osama bin Laden is said to be the mastermind, supposedly, of these terrorist attacks. There's 4 things I have to say before I move on. 4 points. There's 4 stages to this. Number 1, trauma. So in the case of my grandmother being killed by a gunfire, that's the trauma. Out of the trauma comes forth fear. Out of the fear comes forth the externalization of power. And out of the externalization of power comes control. Y'all got that? Let's superimpose September 11, 2001. Same process applies.
You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming? I know exactly what you mean.
All right, so there you have ISIS Exposed by Red Pill Revolution. What I'd also like to direct you to is the resources that are left in the description section. I definitely recommend for you to check these out. It's a lot to understand these things, especially because the information is kept away from the general public. But if you do your own proactive research, you can definitely figure this stuff out. So I hope this was a blessing to you, and thanks for watching. This is The Vigilant Christian. God bless, and stay vigilant.